Welcome back to Owning the Weight podcast, where we talk all things wellness, nutrition, and business. I'm your host, Jillian. I'm here with my co-host, Abby. We're bringing Mindy Musselman back on the podcast. If you guys haven't heard, she's been with us many times. She's one of our preferred RDs to talk all about anything health related. And today we're going to really be interviewing her on why diets fail. I think we probably all have had a little experience with this, and we know this is a very common thing in our culture. We all work in this industry, so thought we'd bring this topic to the surface today and just kind of talk to you about it. So why don't you talk a little bit about like what you do with your clients first and foremost, kind of give everybody a little bit of a background.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me back. Always good to see you guys. And when you told me this topic, I was like, yeah, of course we could talk about that. Why haven't we talked about that? So I work with clients one-on-one who have a range of dietary, nutrition, and just general health needs. So somebody might be coming in because they've recently got diagnosed with, say, prediabetes. And then when we get to talking, it's not just that they don't know, okay, here's the foods I've been eating that I probably should eat more of, less of. It comes down to their history and their experience with eating in general, and maybe a lack of knowledge around how to eat, how to properly nourish themselves. So when somebody comes to me, whether it's, like I said, prediabetes, a GI issue, they just want to have better habits, whatever the issue is. Oftentimes people have they have a history and experience with dieting. I'm going to use air quotes a lot today. I feel like when we say dieting, there's such a history of dieting that the issue that they're presenting with, it matters, but we've got to really dig deep and to figure out, why do you eat the way you do? Not just how did this prediabetes come about and what should you do and avoid? So we do a lot of nutrition counseling as dietitians. We talk about dietary education, like here's what food does in your body and carbs and fat and protein, vitamins, all that. But it is, I think, a lot more nutrition counseling and getting down to the root of why we eat the way we eat than it is just education.
Would you say that that's probably the first thing you do with your clients? Like say first session you have.
Yeah.
You're just trying to figure out who they are and what their habits are.
It really is kind of a like get to know you. It's about an hour of discussion of what's been going on. Where can we start to make some changes? It's never like, okay, here's what you're going to do forever and you're off. No, it takes much more time and discussion to really make those lifestyle changes, which we're going to talk about those too.
On average, how often do you meet with someone that's looking to make a lifestyle change?
On average, I'd say 10 times on average.
Okay. It's like once a week kind of thing, or like once every other week, or it just depends?
About every other week to start, because a week, how fast does a week go by?
Right.
It's really not a lot of time to implement any changes that we talked about, but 2 weeks gives you some time, even if you only do that for one of those 2 weeks. You get some experience, you get some trial and error with whatever it is that we talked about doing differently in that time period.
So when you get a client that starts working with you, out of 100 people that come to you, how many of them think that you're going to put them on a diet?
90%.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not the goal, correct?
No, that's really not the goal. Even so, sometimes somebody will come to you and they'll be like, I really want to do keto, or I really want to go vegan. And it could be for a number of reasons. And that it is very simple for me to just say, okay, here's what you're going to do. Like if you want to be keto, here you go. It's more like, okay, well, what got you to that conclusion? And digging into that. Oh, well, my neighbor lost a lot of weight doing keto, so now I want to do it. Okay, let's talk about your history with food and eating and what's worked for you and what's not, and what's gotten you to this point where you're trying another maybe diet yet again.
Wow. Okay. So the first thing is just kind of understanding more or less their eating habits and how you can help coach them through making lifestyle changes.
Yeah, because even if somebody does want to do a specific diet, and you could call it a diet, I call them like diet patterns. So ketogenic diet is a pattern of eating. Vegan is a pattern of eating. Low calorie, low carb, all of them, they're all patterns. So even if somebody really does want to do that pattern, and you've seen it, you see people come in the stores especially, and when they come in, they might be at that point in their journey where they're really motivated. They come in here and like, I heard about this. This is what I need. I'm so excited. And for about 3 weeks, maybe they are really excited about it. I foresee what's going to happen at week 4, 5, 6. And for some people, it's longer. Maybe at the 8-week mark, they're starting to feel less motivated and less excited about it. So I want to have that conversation with them early. Like, okay, here's maybe the pros of doing a ketogenic pattern, for example. And here's some of the cons.
Is that a new, I've never heard you say pattern before. And I'm just like curious, is that like a new way of saying like diet? Or
I don't know that it's new. I just think talking about like why diets fail, like what is a diet? Well, it's a pattern of eating. We talk about how like, a diet is really just the foods you eat, right?
Correct.
Like your diet is, you could probably name off the foods you tend to shop for the most.
Yes.
And those are kind of your
so
pattern.
It's like a pattern. Oh,
yeah.
I like that. I like that mindset.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what the pattern is. It's if you're coming in and you're really like what I say, like somebody's like gung ho, they're like ready to go. They're really excited about it. That's great. I never want to discourage somebody who's coming to me, who's at that stage of change where they're excited to make the changes and go, you can't do keto. That's going to be terrible. And in 6 months, you're just going to gain the weight back. It's more getting them to understand, here's what might happen. I want you to be mentally prepared because you're probably not going to be as excited about this in whatever the time period is. Usually it's about 3 months at the max, especially for low carb or ketogenic diets.
I was going to say 4 to 6 weeks.
Like, I'm done with it. Yeah. It can be a week, right? Like it can be really short. So I don't want to discourage somebody's motivation. I just want to say, okay, like we might start here, but this diet, quote, diet or diet pattern might not be the best for you to do forever. And here's why. So I just want you to think about this. Like maybe we try this for 6 weeks and then we do a couple of weeks of gradually working into a more balanced eating plan that you could do for life, those sustainable changes. So it's a lot about not just telling somebody, okay, if you want to do keto, here's your food list and shop for these things and don't shop for these things. That's easy. Like I can Google a keto shopping list and go to the store and buy it. You don't really need a dietitian to do that. You need the dietitian to figure out why you've done keto 6 times and here you are doing keto again, trying to lose weight again.
Gotcha.
What's happening there?
Talking about restrictive diets, is there a time and a place for a restrictive diet? If so, like what does that look like?
Great question. There are. Ketogenic diet came about, I think in like the 20s to treat people with epilepsy and seizures. So when I say diet patterns, these patterns, I think kind of the conversation today is people are doing diets for weight loss, right? Like that's what our minds go to. But these diet patterns often stem from other reasons, and they could be to treat a medical condition like that. So if somebody has a issue with gallbladder, there's another condition called sphincter of Oddi dysfunction. It's not super common, but it makes it really, really difficult to digest a lot of fat. So if I have somebody with that, they might be eating like 30, 35 grams of fat a day tops. And if they go over that, they feel it. Like they do not feel well. So yeah, there's definitely therapeutic reasons for these diet patterns. They might start as like therapeutic for a medical condition. And then it's like, oh, and those people happen to also lose a lot of weight doing that.
Yeah.
Let's now, spin it and market it as a weight loss thing too. But
and then there's your newest fad diet.
Which is totally like bait right now.
Yeah.
Bait today for people because it's a desired thing.
And if you have that like sphincter of Oddi again, which is rare, but you really have a motivation not to go outside of those limits because you physically feel really terrible.
Or like autoimmune.
Yeah. With weight management, you don't feel terrible if you go outside the limits a meal a day. So it's much harder to stick to those really strict plans when you don't have that same motivation.
Yeah. It's more low. So like a long-term goal that's out there that you're going to have to like, again, like you were saying, like if you're going to get there, you got to change your lifestyle and be consistent for a very long time to see those results. Even people who diet, who need to lose 100+ pounds, they can do it in a year or under a year sometimes, but it's their main focus. Like they're on it.
Yeah. You're having that conversation with yourself and, with me, and we're saying, this is what this is going to look like. Like, can you do this right now? Can you handle it? A lot of times if somebody needs to start another pattern, like say a low FODMAP dietary pattern to help treat irritable bowel syndrome, you really need to have time to focus on it. So I ask people, what's coming up? Do you have any vacations, any major plans, anything crazy going on at work? Because it's going to be significantly harder. If you can wait a month before that's over, nothing terrible is going to happen in the meantime.
You're just going to make the time.
Let's wait.
Make the changes.
Yes. Yeah. I had somebody who was getting married in like the midst of doing that. And
it's like
had to basically stop.
It's like unrealistic goals.
Yes.
Set
very
with
unrealistic. Yeah. And, I feel like for weight management, especially, we tend to think if I'm not miserable doing this, it couldn't possibly work. Like, why do we make ourselves so miserable to see the scale go down when you could actually be pretty happy with your food and see the scale go down? And actually what people really want to see with weight loss, they want to see lean muscle go up and body fat go down.
Mm-hmm.
So you really want to maximize your metabolism is what we should look at. Like, not just what makes the scale go down, what makes your metabolism amazing. And usually very, very restrictive things are not the first thing you need to jump to.
Well, actually, I was at Palm Health the other day. I went to a seminar on aging bones and brains for like women going into perimenopause and premenopause. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to get out ahead of it. But I like how they put this, they were kind of like layering your health and wellness up on a screen with like a graphic. And they were saying, you know, your foundation is your fitness, which is your movement, mm-hmm. your nutrition, your sleep, and your stress management. And those 4 things are the foundation for your wellness. People try to add the supplements, add mm-hmm. the hormone replacement, and they're not sleeping. And so they wonder why their hormones are not regulated because they don't sleep and they're highly stressed. Their cortisol is all out of whack. So it's like you're just masking the symptoms rather than fixing the root issue. That's what functional med is. It's all about mm-hmm. like peeling back the onion, getting back to the baseline, and then working your way back up. And I feel like the last couple of years, I've really been trying to maximize my sleep and stress. Those mm-hmm. are ones that I've struggled with. Sleep now doing better, but still stress management. It's like constantly around you, but how much that can affect weight gain. And like we that's just another factor we take in place, and we think we're just going to go on a diet. And a lot of times diets are stressful, and they can you know, and fitness can actually cause inflammation in your body. So you can add more stress to the body, more stress to your mental, mm-hmm. while all just trying to lose weight quickly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like you didn't get here overnight. Like you got to look at like your lifestyle, like you're how old and how long do you want to live for? Like how many years? Can't you devote 2 years to getting your life back on track and stabilizing yourself? I look at the long game in this approach. I mean, just being in this industry for so long, like seeing the people who have truly made lifestyle changes, lost 100 pounds, 80 pounds, and kept it off. Like they talk about how they've done things different, how they've made sacrifices, and how they've just slowly started to adjust to a new way of life. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. And it's crazy, but so many factors play into weight that you don't even think about. Like stress. Stress
is a huge one. So stress basically, when you're on a diet, like when somebody goes on a traditional, what we think of as a weight loss diet, they put themselves on, I'm going to eat less, I'm going to cut out carbs. Like those are the things that people tend to go to the most right now.
It's because what's popular, right?
It's what's popular. And maybe they've seen some success on it in the past too. So I'm going to do that. But just the act of like dieting like that adds a little stressor on the body, like you're talking about. And we talk about yo-yo dieting and the effects that has long-term. The more often you diet like that, the worse your results usually are.
Why is yo-yo dieting bad?
The body is so amazing. It will adapt. So if I'm, somebody who, say my resting bottom metabolic rate says that I need 1,300 calories just to like wake up and like survive and not really do any exercise or anything like that. And I start saying, okay, I'm going to diet because I want to lose 10 pounds. And I cut it back to 1,200 a day, right? Every woman thinks she needs just 1,200 calories a day. The world will be great. So your body's like, okay, she's giving us less. It's going to adapt and lower your metabolic rate. That's the last thing you want. You don't want your body using less calories.
And the metabolic rate is in the rate in which you burn calories.
Essentially, yeah. It's basically how much energy your body will use in a day. So we want to do everything we can to build that up. And usually cutting back that far is not the thing to do. And there are cases where people, you do need to cut back some. Like your body can only take in so much energy a day too and use it up.
Does your watch track your calories burned a day?
It does if I wear it.
Oh, mine's always like right between 1,500 and 1,600. Obviously, on workout days, it might be.
Yeah.
If I get up to 2, I'm like, oh my gosh, I burned 2,000 calories today.
And a lot of that is based on an equation, right? It's not like it's actually like it's not inserted into your bloodstream and testing your breath and all that. It's a calculation, but somebody goes up and then down, up and then down. It's just that chronic stressor on the body. And over time, the body's going to get really confused, but it just lowers your metabolic rate over time because age does that too. So we're already working against age, which lowers your metabolic rate. And then we do this up and down dieting and added stressor that lowers the metabolic rate too.
And then, so what do people do when they're feeling down in that process? What do they typically do? They
snack.
Well, I was going to say, or let's take an energy drink to feel back up again. So you put a stimulant in the body. And so when you think about like our adrenal glands as well, like also
More stress.
Yeah. So you don't realize sometimes when you're about, and then I want to work out 5 days a week too.
Yeah.
Like I just talked about, and I'm going to do high intensity because I burn more calories that way. So you're just like beating the shit out of yourself in a sense.
Yeah.
So not saying that working out hard is not good, but
whenever you deprived yourself,
not working out hard and not eating right is not good for you.
Right.
Long term.
Like if you want to make the most out of it, but you're barely eating 1,200 calories a day, you're probably not getting a good enough amount of protein either. And you're doing a hit, workout. You want to build your muscle. Your muscle is really what drives metabolism.
Right.
You need to eat enough to fuel that workout to build that muscle.
Muscle burns more calories than fat just sitting there. Oh,
Yeah.
Let me look up the number. I bet you there's a number.
Well, muscle and fat are both metabolically active. So when we gain weight, lose weight, now muscle does more of that calorie burn, so to speak. But they're both metabolically active. And we go up and down on these calories constantly. Again, the body just going to keep kind of dropping that metabolism down until it's really hard to bounce back. Like the person who's like, I'm really only eating 1,300 calories a day. I'm exercising 5 days a week. Okay, is it your metabolism's low, or it's like you're talking about the stress? What's going on with your hormones? What's going on with your gut health too? Like we get ourselves into these like just huge metabolic messes, not really thinking about what's this short-term diet going to do in the long run? What negative habits am I going to pick up from it? And what negative effects might it have on my body other than, I might lose that 10 pounds. Like,
yeah, because then you got to keep it off too.
Yeah. Keeping it off. I think it's like 1 or 2 of every 3 people who lose weight don't keep it off. They did like a Biggest Loser study, years ago, looking at just a few of the contestants, and kind of like 14 of them, 13 gain it back. Because think about the environment they're in.
That show was wild.
Contest.
Oh, yeah. The Biggest Loser.
That show was wild.
It's been a while since it's been on, right?
That's been a while.
Seem like that long ago, but you're in a controlled environment where your meals are here. You're going to work out every day. You're not working. Like it's very, very different, and you see dramatic results. But what happens then in the long run? Well, they went from somebody who's 400 pounds to 180 pounds.
Yeah.
And they did at least focused a lot on strength training too. They did some crazy cardio stuff though in there. I don't know if you remember that show at all.
Really, really, really overweight people, in my experience with training, would tend to have plenty of muscle because they've also been carrying around 300 pounds. They lose weight. But like if you've only got 20 to 30, 40 pounds to lose and you start like restrictive dieting and working out excessively, you could jeopardize losing a lot of muscle in that weight loss and actually end up with way less muscle than you should. And then
you also mess with like your hormones and
like she was saying, when you gain maybe some back over the next 3-4 years, you've put fat on with less muscle, then you do it again.
Yep.
Now you've lost even more muscle. So your basal metabolic rate just continues to decrease with age. And women specifically, as we age, it's harder at like age 40 is when it starts getting challenging to build muscle. It starts the peak starts coming down at 40, 45 for putting on muscle. So if you're listening and you're 35 to 40, start putting on,
get to it, sister.
Plow on that muscle. This is a window of opportunity.
Just do some curls and some squats. Don't like throw them around or jump. Just do the basic stuff.
Yeah. The heavier lifting, the trying to build some solid muscle, it's really good for your health. Your health. And as I learned, your brain and your bones as you age.
Yes, for women, that could be a whole topic, right? Bone health and muscle.
Oh my gosh,
and stop drinking Diet Coke all the time. Not every day, just cut back.
So
here's another really crazy. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of kind of like talking about Diet Coke and cutting back, obviously, that at Fit Flavors, we believe in the 80-20 philosophy. 80% of the time, we're making decisions aligned with our goals. 20%, we're indulging, or it's life. Do you feel like the 80-20 lifestyle works for someone who wants to lose weight? Or
yes, I feel like for somebody who's done diets their whole life, it's a really hard concept to grasp.
Mm-hmm.
And some people need very specific, like, what do you mean? Like 80-20, how does that look in my day or on my plate? So if we have to give examples for people. So it could be that 80% of literally the food on my plate is mostly like whole single food ingredients. And 20% is, I don't know, it could be chips or it could be white bread even. Like that's maybe your 20% that you need to have. But no, I definitely think people can. It's the mentality of if I'm not doing it 100% of the time,
It's not working.
it's not going to work. And then when they fall off, well, I've already, blown it now. So I'm just going to start again Monday. Like that is that's a habit from lifestyle or a lifetime of dieting, a horrible habit that we can develop that's hard to change.
I feel like I've counseled and helped so many people over the years with this, but I've always ran into the challenge, and I'm curious to ask you. So like, what about that person who's that all or nothing kind of person? We all know them, people. And like you're saying, they can't grasp the 80-20, but you're like, hey, look, like this is it's just a way of life. Like once you adapt to this, like a lot of the stressors with eating and mealtime and all that goes out the door, and you start to look at food a little differently. It just becomes like a part of your life. It's not all or nothing. And so how do you coach somebody who is that all or nothing mentality to kind of like come off that mindset?
One of the things is asking them, okay, so you're like, either through discussion or sometimes they'll just flat out say, yeah, I'm all or nothing about things. And it's like, okay, well, where has that helped you in your life? Like, how has that helped you with your career? And maybe it has really helped them in some way in their career, but more times they'll find, oh, this actually doesn't help me in a lot of things. It's really not. And exercise is a big one too. I'm either going to the gym 7 days a week for an hour, or I'm not going at all. I don't go to the gym 7 days a week for an hour.
Me neither.
No way. So it's like, okay, where has that helped you in your life? And they might come up with some ideas and some not. And then just talking about the aspect of sometimes all or nothing with food is also good or bad with food, and coaching and counseling somebody on, food really has no moral value. You shouldn't shame people about their food, and I shouldn't shame you about your food. Like that's not what this is about. So some people get that all or nothing mindset because they feel like if they're not doing it all the time, they're being bad. They're not doing it right. And unfortunately, people actually like being a little bit bad sometimes. Like they might not admit it or realize it, but they like towing the line and like, ooh, I shouldn't have this, but I'm going to sneak it. So trying to draw them away from that just around food.
Been there.
Yeah.
I have snuck food before. Long time ago.
It's part of the habit we build from, a lifetime of having diets thrown at us. There's a really good one it's an old Special K commercial, like probably early 90s. And it's a woman pinching her stomach. And it was called I think it was called the Special K pinch test or something. Like, oh, if you can pinch an inch or something like that on your abdomen, you should probably get on the Special K diet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Right. Like, but that's what we have seen, forever. And Special K was essentially just low calorie.
Yeah.
Compared to a traditional like breakfast meal. So, you've seen these things for so long and you start to think it's true. Like, oh my gosh, if I have to pinch an inch, like something's wrong with me. Like, well, that's called skin. Like your organs are a little bit under there, huh?
Right.
Like, and the woman in this video is maybe a body mass index of 22, 23 at the most. Like,
oh gosh,
it's ridiculous, but that's how it was. And that wasn't that long ago. So, we grow up with these things, then we pass them down. That's a whole nother conversation. But we really do get a lot of habits out of dieting. Unfortunately, we have to learn how to undo them. So yeah, the all or nothing thing, it's not a deal breaker. People can learn, but it's just like anything else. It is going to take time because that is your mindset in so many areas of your life. We've got to start working on why it's not working. Like let's identify, we clearly see it's not helping you in this aspect. So would you consider doing something different? And let's try this for just a week. Like give me a week, just trying it. And you tell me how that felt. Sometimes they're like, it wasn't so bad. And sometimes like, that was terrible. Like I felt like I wasn't doing anything at all or whatever the case may be. But
what would be one tip you would leave someone with if they wanted to start losing weight, like, and they want to approach it a little differently this time?
Yeah. So if I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to start this diet on Monday because I need to lose weight. I want to lose 50 pounds. just reframe that whole sentence. I don't want to, my goal is not to lose weight. Just my goal is to increase my metabolism. Look at it from that angle.
Oh,
because if you can
so like a mindset shift.
Yeah. If you can start saying, what are the things I'm doing that would maybe help my metabolism, which helps your whole health. It's not just for calorie burn and weight loss. You have chaotic metabolism. You probably have insulin resistance. You might start collecting some fat around the liver. You probably got some GI issues. Like it's not just about scale weight. It's about your total health. So instead of I'm going to start a weight loss plan on Monday, I'm going to start, a metabolic building plan on Monday. And it still sounds kind of diety. I get that. But just trying to focus on the things that would help that. Those are the things you'll probably want to keep doing long term anyways. Then I'm going to cut out all my carbs. Nobody wants to do that forever. I don't know anybody who hates carbs that much.
Can you imagine life without tortilla chips?
No.
Sorry.
No.
Just sitting down to a Mexican restaurant and just spooning salsa in your mouth with no chips forever.
There was this meme
Like gazpacho.
that was like, it was someone that looked like this. And the words on it was me whenever I discovered that 4 tortilla chips is a whole tortilla.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh,
I know. That's a good one.
All right.
Basic portion control is still important.
Right. All right. Well, we hope you guys gain some valuable insight as to why diets fail. If you want to get in touch with Mindy, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Sure. The best way is to either find me on Instagram, Be Well My Way, or you can go to my website, wellmyway.com. And best way to get started, if somebody just wants to talk more, be like, hey, I kind of feel that way, or I'm the all or nothing person. I do free discovery calls. So it's a 15-minute free discovery call. You can sign up right there on the website and pick a time.
Awesome. You can also find that free discovery call link on our website at www.fit-flavors.com under nutrition counseling. And we'll catch you guys next time.